Anybody ever fallen in love? Isn't that interesting? Fallen in love. You don't just kind of stumble into it. You don't kind of just find it and then sit down and relax into it. Nope, you fall. You fall. You fall in love. And if you've ever had your heart broken, you can identify with this faith. You've fallen in love. Has fallen in love made anybody in here do some things that was just out of character? I mean, come on. I remember when I entered in a relationship with my wife, I was quoting poetry. And I couldn't help myself. And it felt corny on the inside, but she was worth it on the outside. And so I would do things that was out of character because love just had me all out of control. And I just couldn't do anything. Have you ever made some decisions and love caused you to make some decisions and now you regret? You look back on that thing and you say, what in the world was I thinking? What was wrong with me? How could I do that? How could I let them convince me? How could I give them that? Right now, as a grown man, as a grown woman, as a mature person, you look back and you say, what was I thinking? Why did I choose that one? Why did I go there? Why did I do this? Man, I'm living in regret. Wondering who had that kind of power and that kind of effect on me? Well, watch this. Let me tell you what was going on during that time. I had an opportunity to do some research, and I was listening to another brother that was ministering, really ministered to my heart, and got some real good information that I want to share with you, because now what I'm finding out, babe, is that I really wasn't crazy. Even though I was doing some crazy out-of-the-box things, I finally was able to find some research, Roy, that really supports my actions. And I think it might help you as well. Listen, when I was listening to this brother, he was talking about, he listened to a neurologist talk about this love piece. And while he was listening to this neurologist, the neurologist was talking about why we fall in love and the effects that falling in love have on many of us, which supports why we sometimes act out of our minds, if you will. And he began to kind of describe it, and it seemed like I wasn't as crazy as I was when I was doing. So this is what he said. When you fall in love with somebody, right, you get this idea in your mind, and then you connect with this particular individual. When you connect with that person and the feeling is right, and you begin to start finding that the feeling is causing your behaviors to kind of be one way or another, it's beginning to kind of let you know that you're kind of falling in this whole love thing. And so here it starts by you figure out who you like or what you like. And so, we all vary in what we like, brother. Some of y'all like them tall, dark, and handsome, right? Some of you like them shorter and slim, streamlined, and light skin, right? Some of you like the real coarse, back to nature hair. Others of you, you're not dating anybody if they don't experience dark and lovely. You know what I mean? Some of us like, individuals who are real intelligent and really kind of can converse with you on that kind of level. And then others of you, you don't feel like it's communication at all because it's too high and too mighty and too deep for you. But whatever your flavor is, this is what happens. When you finally connect to that thing, when you finally allow it into your life and you start feeling that you're falling in love, this is what happens. You first of all begin to recognize that just being around them makes you feel something. When you smell their hair, something happens to you. When you hear their voice on the phone, something begins to happen in your being. Well, this is what it is. When you connect with a person like that, when you love them like that, chemically, there is a release of something called dopamine. Right? And so when you come in contact with this person, you don't know what it is, but it's their smile releases this dopamine. When they touch you just right, it releases this dopamine, right? When they say, how are you? And I love you. Man, the sound of that thing releases this dopamine in your system. Dopamine is the very same thing that we experience if you smoke and joint. Let that settle. I'm telling you, when you do drugs, There is this release of this dopamine that gives you that euphoric feeling. It makes you feel good. It mellows you out, gives you energy, makes you believe you can take on the world. This dopamine is being released in your system, and it's causing you to think, feel, and react differently than without it. The same occurs when you're in love. And that's why that love thing will make you stay up when you know you normally go to sleep early. It'll make you get up early when you know that you can linger in the bed. It'll make you creative when you normally couldn't create anything. It causes all kinds of things to happen to you. This dopamine is being released in your system. Now, here's the trick. Here's the bad thing about it. This the bad thing about it. When this dopamine is being released in your system, when you experience getting high for the first time, and your body has never been introduced to a substance like that before, man, it is out of this world. It makes you feel something that you've never felt before. If you look out in the street right now, do you really think that every substance abuser wants to be in that position? Do you really think that they want to sell their babies pamper money? Do you really think that they want to, rob and steal? Do you really think that they want to live in cars and bigger crack houses? Do you really think that they want to wander around the house because many of their relationships have been severed because they've stolen from their mothers? And disappointed their fathers? Do you really think that? No. This is what has happened. They have had that dopamine thing happen to them. Now watch this. The first hit is the best hit. You get it? The first hit is the best hit. Every other hit after that is a hit of pursuit. You are trying to now experience the first hit that you experienced from a substance you being introduced to that you had never been introduced to before. Now here's the trick that gets you in. Once you get that first hit and now you're pursuing that new high, that first high, you're never going to have the first high. Never going to have the first high. But the high was so good that you're in pursuit of it. And then with substance abuse, you normally have to have more in order to keep you at that place where you experience high, because our bodies will adjust. And, before it may have taken, just a little bit of substance to make you feel that euphoric feeling. But now that you've introduced it to your body often enough, your body now makes that adjustment and it needs more in order to experience that same feeling. And that's what goes on with this whole love thing. And that's why people fall out of love. Because when they first come in contact with folks, man, there's some stuff going on that hadn't been going on before, I treat you light and I pay attention. I acknowledge you and I compliment you. I open doors. I cook and clean. I do all that stuff for you. I show you that you're the person of priority all the time. I sever relationships for you. I walk miles for you. I spend money for you. I do whatever you need me to do. And when I'm doing that, I'm releasing that dopamine. It's that euphoric feeling that you get being in contact with me and me being in contact with you. But in time, research says that whole euphoric love thing, in 2 years' time, it dwindles down to nothing. And in that 2 years' time, you better have figured out how to have a mature, responsible, respectful love, as opposed to a euphoric, exciting, new level of love. Because when life sets in and it starts beating you down, the very things that drew you to the person and made you love them will end up being the very things you can't stand about them, and it'll make you mad. The things that you couldn't wait to see are now things that you want to be away from. Ooh, because now it's no longer blurry anymore. See, euphoria will blur your vision, but reality will fine tune it again and bring it back to reality. And then you start figuring out, wow, how did I miss that they were cheap? How did I miss that their hygiene habits weren't that great? How did I miss that they're always late? How did I miss that they're never a person of their word? How did I miss that they have no level of responsibility about themselves at all? How did I miss that they're so needy and clingy? Because when you lived in euphoria, You wanted needy and clingy. It felt good. But now you live on 52nd and Market, needy and clingy in such a congested area. Woo, good God. It's making me feel like I can't even breathe. Huh. Dopamine. How many of y'all was in relationships and you wasn't nothing but an addict? And now, because you can't get the same hit, you're trying to figure out how to manipulate a fake feeling, if you will. And when the person is now no longer able to make you high, your interest level begins to dwindle. Begins to make you dwindle. So when you come in contact with people and you who are on the outside and you're not being affected by the feelings and all the stuff, it's easy for you to look and say, man, why is she doing that? And why is he giving that? And why are they taking that? They can't help themselves. That dopamine is being released over time, and they are addicted. They're addicted. Time is going to be necessary in order for them to come down off that thing. And when you think about this whole Valentine's thing, think about everything that Valentine's Day stands for. It's designed to take advantage of addicted people. See, you can't understand that it's crazy to spend $100 for 12 roses. See, can I get an amen from the frugal ladies? You can't understand why it is just crazy to spend some of the money we spend on candy that you don't need and flowers that are going to die. And listen, this stuff is nice, but what I'm trying to get us to understand is that perspective is off because you are addicted to love. Okay. And when you're addicted to love, the marketers understand that, listen, all I've got to do is show a pro-flower commercial that shows a line of men in line feeling bad and feeling that they're running out of time. And then I know, because I know that some of those men are married to women who just have to have something to feel validated and acknowledged. He can't afford to go home and feel like he's forgotten. So he's got to get in line to take something home that says, baby, I remembered you. He's got to, that's his out. That's his out. And so they target a certain segment of individuals. And that's how they make their money. And then they'll attach onto it a delivery fee. And they'll attach onto it, a fee to make sure that we guarantee it's going to be delivered on this particular time. Who's going to purchase that? Folks that have an addiction. And when you are addicted, rationale leaves space. Isn't that something? And so all the stuff that we used to do, I'm not saying that some of that stuff wasn't just nice, and it's cool to be romantic, and it's nice for everything, but you ought to have perspective in everything. Right? So that your relationship is not just based on some stuff, because I might lose my job, and if I lose my job and I can't buy you flowers, do you still accept my love? Huh? Can I write on a napkin, baby, I love you, and you receive that thing as if I spent $20 on a Hallmark card? Huh? Can I go out in the back and pick you a little flower out the backyard and bring it to you? Huh? Are you going to turn up your face and be all disappointed, or are you going to understand the gesture? Ooh, my God, my God, my God. So that dopamine thing, man, it's being released in a whole lot of folks, and it's causing us to do some stuff that's going to hurt us later. Do you know how many people end up being addicted to drugs by just, initially being social users? Huh? Folks who, look, I don't drink all the time, only during game time. Look, I don't drink all the time, only with dinner. No, I don't drink or do drugs all the time, only when I'm feeling bad, or only when I'm taking it, I'm being healthy selfish, No. You have to be careful with all of that. The enemy it's not called wine and spirits for nothing. Anytime you allow a foreign substance in your body that God hasn't created and produced, you are allowing this thing in your system. It has the potential to dictate behaviors, thinking, and feeling. And if you're not careful, we're not going to go into the whole thing about, is it a sin to have wine with dinner or not? I don't care. Do you? I really don't care about that anymore. But what I'm saying to you is that you ought to at least understand if you are experiencing addictive behaviors that, listen, you know that you're addictive when you display behaviors that cause you to not be able to produce, when you experience overuse of something. When there's no discipline connected to it, you just got to have it. You can't stop yourself from using it or whatever. That's what you got to be careful. But watch this here. Let me flip the script on you for a second. When I think about this topic, what kind of love is that? Let's move a little, because here's what happens after the whole addiction thing and you can no longer manufacture that feeling anymore. This is what ends up coming after that. You end up finding yourself in a position, and this is what you say. What kind of love is that? What does that mean? That means you're supposed to be in connection and relationship with a person and they don't respect you. So they talk to you any old kind of way. And you're left there saying, what kind of love is that? Huh? You know that there's bills due and your partner won't work at all. Won't work. They're healthy. They have the ability to help you manage stuff and then leave it all on you. Sometimes you're left saying, what kind of love is that?